The Lodge in the Hills. It was summer break for 3 of my friends, and all of us planned a relaxing trip out to the tribal lodge for a few days. There's 5 of us all together, so let me introduce everyone. First, there's Rosa. I wouldn't say she's the leader of the group, but she's the one who gets us all out of the house, and it's pretty much our idea person. Violet, V, she's the bubbly, sporty, and energetic one of the group. Marilyn, Mare, we've known each other since we were in preschool. She's always laughing, and almost always hyper about something. Sometimes her emotions get the best of her, and she does things without thinking. But she's got a lot of passion and an easygoing personality. Teresa, Tess, she's the traditional and artsy one of the group, but seriously, don't get her mad. She'll most likely shoot you or your car with her bow and arrow. At times, she can be naive and ignorant, but she's a kid at heart with so much. And last but not least, there's me. My name is Art. I'm pretty simple. Music and coffee keep me going. We all live on a small reservation, and Rosa, Tess, and V are all currently going to school in different places, whereas I'm taking a year off and Mare is just kinda chilling out. One day, Rosa came up with the idea that we should all take a trip out to the hills for some well-needed relaxation. The tribe owns a lodge out that way, and Tessa's grandpa Benny is like the caretaker of the area. It has beautiful scenery, and it's near the most sacred area of land known to our people. Everyone except Mar has been to the lodge, so we knew she'd enjoy the peace and quiet that the huge cabin had to offer. It was a simple lodge, but it was furnished nicely and had all the amenities such as water, electricity, satellite TV, and even Wi-Fi. There's 2 floors and multiple rooms within the lodge, so finding space to relax was definitely not an issue. We don't get many chances to just relax and hang out together in one place, and we didn't usually hang out at my house, but it's where we all came together to go over the trip we were about to leave for. We hit the road sometime before noon and arrived at the cabin that evening. After doing some grocery shopping in the city first, it wasn't long before we got comfortable in our rooms. Mara and I shared a room with 2 beds next to the room Tess, V, and Rosa stayed in. Their room also had 2 beds. One was a queen, and the other was a twin. Luckily, no one had to sleep by themselves. The first couple days, we just hung out at the lodge and even ventured out for hikes in the hills for some exercise. Being at the top of a mountain, as we called it, it was even more beautiful than looking up at it. On the days we got a little restless, we would drive into the city, mostly just to hang out and eat. But it was always fun, and it kept us from getting cabin fever. One night, I suggested that we try camping in a tent outside the lodge so we could see the stars and have a bonfire. Being this far out meant that there would be less light pollution, and since it was summer, the sky would be perfectly clear. That being said, everyone was also kind of spooked out because of how dark it got at night. Of course, we all grew up hearing stories of all that ghosts and ghouls that could come and get us if we stayed out too late, but that sure did not stop us. We all got up pretty late on the day, so we decided to camp out sometime around noon if I remember correctly, and right away, we were preparing for the evening. "Hey, Art, could you and V go back to the cabin and grab all the food for dinner?" Rosa said as she helped Tess and Benny stake down our tent. "Sure, no problem," I said as I stood up from the picnic table. "And grab the flashlights too, please." "Where did you leave them?" On that little table right when you walk in the door," she said as she got up from putting the last stake in the ground. "All right, V, come on, let's go," I said, motioning for her to follow me. "Okay, I'm coming," V said, putting her phone in her pocket and following behind me. The cell phone signal was not very strong that far out in the city, so everyone was constantly looking at their phones, hoping to get a little of a signal. "I'm coming too," Mar said as she ran after us. "Grab my sweater on the chair too, please," Tess yelled after us. "All right," I yelled back. We walked to the lodge, and as we got closer, I noticed a weird screeching sound emanating from the pastures nearby. I thought it was strange because it almost resembled a low growl, and for some strange reason, the sound made me feel very uneasy. Almost as if it was warning me that I had done something wrong and I was about to get in trouble for whatever it was I had done. I tried telling myself it was just some car that messed up on the highway or something. Trying my best to ignore it, I walked faster. Getting to the cabin seemed to be taking forever, even though we weren't too far from it, and V broke the silence. Artie, do you hear that?" V said and looked around, puzzled. "That weird screeching-like sound?" I said, looking around. "Yeah, what is it?" she asked me. "I'm not sure, but it's probably just a broken-down car zooming up by the road." We stopped for a moment. "But it sounds really close though," she said. Mar chimed in. "Yeah, it does sound close." "It's probably just the cars on the highway. The lodge isn't that far from the main road anyways," I said, trying to reassure them, more trying to reassure myself. "Huh, that's probably true," V said as we moved on. We finally approached the cabin and hurried inside to grab the food we'd prepared earlier that day. "Mar, can you grab some extra blankets from the rooms?" I said as I put the cutlery in a plastic bag. "Sure, which ones should I grab?" she asked as she headed down the hall. "The ones from our rooms and the ones from Tess and Rosa's rooms. Get the ones that are on the top of the sheets," I yelled at her. "Okay, Artie." "Thank you," I called after her. V and I gathered everything that needed to be taken outside and waited for Mar to return with the blankets, and I noticed V was rubbing her eyes. "You okay, V?" I asked her as I set the supplies down. "Yeah, my head hurts for some reason and I feel tired." "Uh-oh, that's no good. And you were fine a minute ago," I said as I felt her forehead. "I'm probably just tired from our hike up the mountain yesterday," she said as she stretched out her arms. "Maybe do you want to take a pain pill?" "If you think it'll help." "It should. I'll grab one, but don't take it until we start eating. That way it won't upset your stomach." I walked towards the sink and grabbed a grocery bag full of first aid supplies and searched for the pills. "Okay," she said, as I hand her the pain medicine. Mar came down the hall with a pile of blankets in her arms, and we made our way out the door. When we made it back outside, the wind had picked up a little, and we could still hear the strange noises coming from the pastures. As we got closer to where we were camped, the noise seemed to suddenly stop. Being the logical thinker that I am, I assumed it stopped because whatever vehicle was making the sound must have finally gone by. So I put the thought out of my mind. After making it back to the picnic area and setting the blankets on the back of Benny's truck, we sat down around the blanket and dined on hamburgers, hot dogs, various salads, fresh fruit, and drank iced tea. With the fire going nearby and a gentle breeze blowing, it was all very relaxing. After lazing about and putting away the leftovers, we moved the picnic table near the fire, making sure not to sit downwind and getting fear of getting hit with stray ashes, and made s'mores as the sun went down. "Ooh, Benny, you should tell us some spooky stories," I suggested excitedly. I love ghost stories and anything about the paranormal, but when it comes down to it, I'm a huge coward. I don't know if I can remember any right now," he said, as he rubbed his chin thoughtfully. Well, when you remember, you should tell us." "Why don't you tell us some scary stories?" Rosa said while mushing her marshmallows between two pieces of graham cracker and chocolate. "Yeah, Art, tell us some. Mar said jokingly. I can't. I don't know any. Hey guys, we should play a game, said V, as she got up from her seat and stretched. I was glad to see she was feeling better. What kind of game? We should play tag, or we should have a race. Go ahead, V, and get us started, I said, putting my marshmallow over the flames. We all laughed. I wouldn't go running around in the pastures when it's dark out, girls, Benny said, as he threw another log in the fire. How come? V said. Are you gonna tell us some spooky stories now? I asked, as I grabbed some graham crackers and pieces of chocolate. Benny got up and grabbed the bucket of dirt he had sitting in the back of the truck and set it down beside his chair, as if preparing to put out the flames. You know, you girls are the first group to come out in a couple months. The last group of people were some university students out on a retreat, and they didn't stay too long. Why not? Well, a couple of them suddenly got real sick and had to leave. The rest of them kept saying they heard strange noises coming from the pastures. My stomach dropped as I thought about the strange noise we had heard earlier that day. Ew, Mar said quietly. I hear things out here at night too, and I've been finding a lot of dead deer in the area, but lately it's been kinda quiet, he said, as he leaned back in his chair and crossed his arms. We listened carefully to his stories about hearing things at night, his experiences with ghosts from his youth, and other creatures we already heard of. It wasn't too long before everyone got fairly creeped out and very sleepy. Guys, we should probably start putting things away, Rosa suggested. Yeah, I'm getting pretty tired, Tess agreed. Me too. These stories are starting to get me all scared. Yeah, and I'm like really tired, Mar said, rubbing her eyes as well. Benny laughed a little. Alright then, I'll take all the leftovers and stuff back to the cabin so no deer will bother you girls. I'll come too. I forgot to grab the flashlights earlier. Mar, wanna come with me? I said, not wanting to go alone, and still feeling a little creeped out. Yep, she yawned, and we quickly helped Benny pack up the leftovers and hopped into the back of the truck. After helping him take everything inside and put away all the food, we grabbed the flashlights and took a lantern Benny gave us and headed back to our little camp. We stepped off the porch and saw the glow of the bonfire still going several yards from the cabin, and Mar said to me, Wow, I must be really tired. My head hurts. Don't worry, Mar. We'll most likely be going to sleep soon anyways. We stepped off the porch, and suddenly, the same strange screeching noise from earlier started up again, along with the feeling I got from earlier that day. Mar began walking faster, and I quickened my pace to keep up with her. A sense of urgency hit me, and it felt as though something was after us. I knew as soon as we were in the light of the bonfire, we would be safe. Having almost tripped from what I assumed was a huge hole in the ground, we hit the light of the bonfire, and again, the strange sound ceased. Yay! You guys made it back, Tess said happily. You guys alright? Asked Rosa, looking at her disheveled composures. Yeah, we just got a bit freaked out because of the stories Benny was telling, you know? Oh yeah, he gave us this lantern too. I held the lantern up and tried to calm myself. Ooh, cool. Now we won't be in the dark when we put the fire out, Rosa said as I handed her the lantern. Thanks, bro, Tess said as I handed her a flashlight. Whoa, watch it, I said, moving towards V. Haha, sorry, she laughed as she turned it off. Mara and I sat back down at the picnic table. Then I handed her a flashlight too, and set the rest of them near the packages of water. Here you go, Mar. Thanks, she said tiredly. I was surprised that the little episode we just had did not wake her up like it did me. God, I need a cigarette, I said, as I reached into my sweater pocket and pulled up my pack of Marlboro Lights. I knew Rosa must have had a few of her own by now. You and your cancer sticks, Tess said, as she poked at the fire with a metal rod. I know. I lit it. There we go, I said, taking the first drag. It was disgusting, but it was my moment of bliss. I needed something to calm me down. All right, boys, everyone ready for bed? V said jokingly. Whatever, Yi. The night is young, and I have to use a restroom. Someone come with me, Rosa said. Why don't you guys go with us when Mara and I hopped in with Benny? I asked, taking another drag. We didn't have to go then, Rosa said, searching for her sweater. I'll go with you. I gotta use it too, said Tess. V, do you need to go at all? I asked. Yeah, I have to go. V got up from her seat on the other side of the table and joined them. Alright, grab your flashlights and let's go, Rosa said. Do you guys need to go at all? Tess asked Mara and I, before following after the others. No, we went when we rode back with Benny, I said. Alright then. You okay, Mar? I asked as I grabbed the water. Yeah, I'm just really tired. Oh, well, don't worry. We'll most likely go to sleep when they get back. Hopefully, she said, as she motioned for me to give her the lighter. I took a few more drags of mine, and by the time I was done, Rosa, Tess, and V were headed back this way. Yay, you guys made it back in one piece, I said jokingly. Yay! Rosa looked at me and said sarcastically. V laughed at us. What are you doing, Art? I'm getting ready to put the fire out so we can go to bed soon. Don't put it out yet. Let's roast some more marshmallows, Rosa said. I won't put it out yet, I'm just getting ready, I said, setting the bucket closer to the fire, which probably wasn't a good idea. Who's gonna make more with me? Tess? Mar? V? I will, Mar said. Me too. I've only had one, so I want another, I said, as I grabbed my skewer again. Tess or V? You guys want some? I think I've had enough, V said, as she stretched and lounged back in her chair. Same. I've had like 4 of them already, said Tess. Mar, Rosa, and I finished the last of the marshmallows, and we all joked around for a little while. I always enjoyed our time together when we could just hang out and talk about everything under the sun, or in this case, under the moon. We must have been sitting there a while, because we hadn't put any more logs on the fire, and it started to die out. Mar and V started laying out the sleeping bags in the tent. Tess put out what was left of the s'mores, and Rosa and I did what we could do to put out what was left of the bonfire. When it got down to just smoky ashes, we poured the last of the dirt from the bucket onto it. Then we all piled into our huge tent. The wind picked up even more as we sat in the tent. We jabbered on and joked with each other by light of the lantern, and it was really chilly for a summer night. The second I thought so, the screeching noise from earlier started up again. Not this again, I said out loud. What? That weird sound from outside? Said Rosa. At that point, I was convinced it was just cars going by on the highway. Dang, those drivers need to get their cars checked out or something. I know, right? What the heck is with drivers these days? I said, trying not to sound freaked out. I looked at Mar, who was already asleep, and I wish that I was too. Is that what that was? Rosa asked, looking at me. Most likely. I mean, this isn't the first time we heard the noise, I said, as I leaned back on my pillow. Huh? That's weird, said Tess, as she sat up to turn the lantern off. Once again, the noise stopped. I got up and looked at Rosa. Whatever car it was must have finally gone by. I guess so, she said, and shrugged her shoulders. We laid in the darkness and talked a little longer, but it wasn't long before everyone was asleep. After a while, I woke up suddenly feeling restless and really wanted another cigarette. It probably wasn't the best time for it, but my half-awake state didn't care. Tess? V? Rosa? I whispered onto the darkness. Mar? Guys? Nothing. Everyone was out cold. I grabbed my flashlight and stumbled out of the tent to further blacken my lungs. I didn't turn my flashlight on right away because the light from the moon seemed to do the trick just fine. Wow. I stared at the pastures for a little while before letting up and noticed the wind was still blowing, a little stronger than before, but it was somewhat relaxing. I lit up and glanced towards the direction of the cabin and noticed that Benny had left the porch lights on for us. I took a few drags. I noticed everything suddenly got very quiet. It was as though everything, even the once rustling trees, decided to stand still. I took a long drag from my cigarette, and an ugly feeling made its way up my back, and a familiar sense of unease set in. I exhaled and glanced around our camping area when I noticed the silhouette of a person standing in the darkness just between us and the cabin. Squinting in the hopes of getting a better look, I felt my heart rate increase and my stomach drop as soon as I laid my eyes on it. Benny? I called out into the darkness, hoping for a response. Benny, is that you? Nothing. After a few moments of intense silence, the silhouette turned towards me. Benny? My voice cracked. I couldn't move. Something about this person, or whatever it was, felt wrong. My body stiffened, and it started to move closer, but every thought in my mind was telling me to run. I dropped my cigarette by accident, and this must have snapped me out of it. I gasped and bolted towards the entrance of our tent. Nearly ripping it open, I flew inside and zipped it closed behind me, making sure to secure it. Guys, wake up, wake up. There's someone outside the tent. I shook everyone. Fuck, shut up. Shut up, Art, go back to sleep. Tess, V, I yelled, hoping to hear one of them say something. What? Tess said, sounding thoroughly annoyed. What's going on? V sat up and looked at me. There's something outside the tent, you guys. You have to get up, I said, trying to calm myself. What do you mean, Art? Who's outside the tent? It's probably just Benny. Shut up and go to sleep. But he didn't even answer me, I said, trying to steady my breathing. It's okay, Art, just go back to sleep. It was probably just Benny coming to check on us. Okay. I quickly covered myself and scooted as close to Mar as I could get. Several minutes later, it seemed like everything was fine, and I managed to calm myself down. The second I thought so, a deep, guttural-sounding laugh came from outside the tent. My eyes shot open, and I felt as though my soul literally left my body. Shut up, Art. I know that was you. Rosa, I swear to God, that wasn't me. Well, whoever it was, stop it. I'm trying to sleep. I felt Mar stir beside me. What the heck was that? Guys, what was that? Said Tess. Now she sounded wide awake. It sounded like it came from outside the tent. Rosa, It didn't sound like any of us, said Tess, as she sat up. I could tell she was just as scared as I was. Guys, what's going on? Mar asked. I told you guys. Something was out there, I said as I quickly shot up. Should we go see who it is? Isn't that the one thing you're not supposed to do? Said Rosa sarcastically. Well, it's not like this tent is a goddamn fortress, I exclaimed. Okay, seriously, if that was any one of you guys, just spit it out right now. Seriously, Rosa, none of us did that. She hesitated. Okay, everyone get up and we'll check it out together. If anything, we can make a run for the cabin, she said, as she grabbed the lantern and turned it on. Oh, hell no, you're not gonna get me out of this tent, Tess said, still sitting in her sleeping bag. Fine, we'll just leave you here then. Guys, wait, I don't want to be here alone, Tess said. Okay, as soon as we get out of the tent, everyone be prepared to fight, Rosa whispered to us as she unzipped the entrance. My heart raced as we exited the tent, and everyone shined their flashlights into the darkness. We couldn't see anything at first. I was sort of relieved, but there was a crimson liquid pooling around a small figure on the other side of where the bonfire had been. What the heck is that? V said. Ew, it looks like prairie dog. Oh my god. There really was someone out here. Guys, we should go back to the cabin, Tess said, still flashing her light into the darkness. Everyone, calm down. Whatever was out there seems to be gone now. Even then, there's 5 of us. There's strength in numbers, said Rosa, as she tried to reassure everyone. I vote we go to the cabin, lock everything, and bust out the sage, I said, clutching my flashlight like a weapon. What about all our stuff? Screw that! I'm not staying out here with the ghosts, said Mara. She grabbed onto me, as if I could protect her. I was just as scared as she was. Yeah, what if whatever was out here comes back? I mean, it killed this prairie dog and left it here. Who says it won't hurt us? Said Tess. Okay, our stuff should be fine until morning, so we'll just come back out for everything when it's light out, okay? Said Rosa. With that, we made our way back to the cabin and shined our flashlights in different directions, making sure we're not caught off guard. The whole time, I had an ugly feeling that whatever was out there was watching us, and the stupid noise from before was back. Only this time, it seemed louder and more menacing. Mars suddenly tripped over something, and I wouldn't have noticed had she not pulled on me as she did. It almost gave me a heart attack. You okay? I asked, getting her to her feet. Yeah, I just tripped in a hole or something. I'm alright. Okay, let's keep moving. I stared ahead of me and counted the number of bodies in front of me. At the same time, I did my best to watch where I was going. I did not want to be that person that falls, gets hurt, and drags the group down. Mar was hanging on to me, Rosa was in the lead, and Tess and B were right in front of us. But who was that walking beside Tess? I tightened my grip on Mar's arm and quickened my pace, almost dragging her. I wanted to say something. I knew I probably should have, but I was scared that I might attack Tess or something. What am I supposed to do? Mar, I whispered. Yeah? Do you see what's beside Tess? She hesitated for a moment. Ard, I'm scared. I squeezed her arm. It's okay. We're almost to the cabin. The light from the porch grew closer, and it became easier to see who everyone was. I stared at the thing next to Tess. My spine froze. It looked like Mar. Ard, what is that? She asked me, horrified. Panic took over. My body wouldn't respond. Whatever it was looked almost like her, but it wasn't her. It looked wrong, like a flawed entity that should have never existed in the first place. It turned towards us, and we got a good look at it. The eyes were sunken in and glassy, and it was smiling with a mouth so wide, it looked like it could take up my whole head in one bite. I should have ran or screamed, but my body completely froze up. The thing sized us both up and smiled widely. Then it turned and walked into the darkness. "Mar, come on!" I screamed. We bolted towards the cabin to catch up with everyone. I was practically in tears. Mar and I pushed everyone through the threshold of the door, and I slammed it shut right away. Eventually, we found the light switch, and I told everyone what had just happened. Our ruckus must have woken Benny up from his room in the back, because he came down the hall and seemed quite irritated. But then again, who wouldn't be? "What's going on in here?" said Benny, looking at us, wanting answers. We're sorry for waking you up, Grandpa, but we heard something that freaked us out and we all just sort of ran in here," Tess said, trying to apologize. "Yeah, we're sorry, Benny. We just got really freaked out." Suddenly, there was a loud banging on the front door. We all stared in that direction. The air was thick with panic. "Who the heck is that?" asked Benny, walking towards the door. It followed us." "What does it want?" "Gee, V, why don't you ask it?" "Everyone should get away from the door," Tess said, backing up quickly. Benny went to the back room to get something, and the banging seemed to go on forever before suddenly stopping. Where did it go?" I asked. I felt tears stream down my face. "Shh!" Rosa shushed everyone. We remained silent for about a minute before Benny came back up with his phone. I wish he would have brought a weapon of some kind. "Guys, what are we gonna do?" "Who was it?" he asked, walking back towards the door. "We don't know." "Well, whatever it was is gone now," he said, looking down at his phone. He must have been trying to call someone. Suddenly, the lights went off, and Mar screamed which almost made me leap out of my skin. "Mar, for the love of God, please tell me that's really you," I said, trying my best to hold it together and keep my voice from cracking. "Art, it's me, where are you?" "I'm here too, Art, it's okay." I felt V grab my arm. Everyone turned their flashlights back on, and Rosa got the lantern going again. "He must have hit the breaker," Benny said. "But he can't get in, right?" I asked, trying to stay calm. "He shouldn't. All the other doors are locked." "Guys, what are we gonna do?" "He's probably just trying to scare us. We just need to keep calm," said Rosa, sounding as though she was just as scared as the rest of us. Benny went back to his office to find some sage. Tess, Mar, and I went into the living room to try and calm down. Rosa and V went to their rooms to find their cell phones. After a few minutes, V and Rosa returned, but both their phones weren't working for some reason. None of our phones were working. Even the landline was cut. Mar's grip on my arm was starting to cut off my circulation. She looked at me, eyes full of fear. "Art, I'm so scared." It wasn't long before Benny came back down the hall, but this time he had a large shell with smoke coming from the top, and in the other he had a shotgun. We were all wondering where the heck he got the gun from, but we were more worried about smudging ourselves. He set his gun down by the couch and began saying a prayer in the Lakota language, and Rosa and V followed him to smudge the rest of the rooms on this floor. I left Mar with Tess and decided to get some water from the cooler in the kitchen. As I entered the kitchen, a strong sense of nausea hit me, and the screeching sound I've come to hate came back so loud, I could barely hear myself think. I tried to make my way back to the living room, but my body felt like it weighed 1,000 tons. Suddenly, a familiar voice called from the front door. "Artie! Someone! Let me in! Let me in! Please, let me in!" the voice said. It sounded like Rosa. In a trance of some kind, I was unsure of what to do as I looked down the hall, wondering if somehow we'd let in the wrong person. I would have grabbed Benny's shotgun and pulled the trigger if the voice on the other side of the door hadn't warped into some low, inhuman metallic noise. Suddenly, The voice became high-pitched like it was a child's voice, and I snapped out of it. I screamed down the hall for the rest of our party while I made my way to Tess and Mar. Everyone came running down the hall. Whatever it was outside started banging on the door again, begging us to let it in. Mar covered her ears and started frantically screaming, "Make it stop, make it stop, someone do something." Benny, being the bravest of all of us, walked towards the door with the sage and loudly called to it, "Leave us alone. We've done nothing to you, and we have nothing for you. You're not allowed to be here." The banging stopped momentarily, and the guttural laughter that still rings in the back of my mind to this day replaced it. It was mocking him. "Leave us alone," it repeated back to us. Benny must have had enough because he lit the sage in the shell, and he started saying his prayer again. The thing was trying to drown out his words by repeating everything it was he said to it, and all we could do was watch in horror and pray whatever it was would just leave. Eventually, everything became silent, except for Benny and his praying. We all stayed quiet, no one said a word, and we waited in the kitchen for what felt like hours, listening to every little sound that was made on the other side of the door, hoping the creature was gone. Soon, the light from the morning sun streamed in through the windows. We cleaned up the lodge and our camping area in silence. No one said anything until later the next day. We were told that the grounds were blessed sometime after our stay, and now there are no reports of strange screeching noises or dead animals being found out of the norm. When I asked Rosa or V about the whole ordeal, they always change the subject altogether. For good reason, I assume. In any case, none of us ever talk about what happened back there. Benny told us that it could have been a skinwalker. Some old legends tells us that skinwalkers are people who used evil magic to become shapeshifters and basically ruin their bodies to gain these dark powers. Any sort of talk about these creatures can bring misfortune and bad luck, so I'll just leave it at that. Some things you're better off not knowing.